Debbie, did we put a sheet back there for sign-ups for public comment? I think we're gonna need one.
No, she just said no.
Now everybody will go ask her. We're gonna start charging tickets. A little bit of revenue. Yeah. Let me know if I need to put on a show. I'll start selling tickets.
Bell ring. Karen, you gotta bring that sheet to me.
Oh, are you talking about Blue Ribbon Launch? 9:30 is when we should be there if it goes. Yeah. Yeah.
If the weather holds up,
Yeah.
they have to cut it short.
Yeah. I haven't looked at the radar.
I know, that's a long way.
It's not very this one. I remember when I was in school, the governor's wife would come down and do the walk.
Oh,
At that time, it's called Andrea's Walk. It was Phil Graveson's wife.
yeah. Good morning, and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting work session. This is May the 7th, 2026. So we'll call this meeting to order. Next would be public comments. We've had 3 people to sign up for public comments, and you each have 2 minutes to speak. So I'll set the timer when your time starts. This is not a time for question and answers to the board. This is your time to speak. What you have to say is important. And so we will just listen to you. The buzzer will sound and your time will end at that time. So we'll start the public comments with Brittany Holcomb.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm here to ask for guidance with our cleanup. Initially, the other lot owners and I verbally agreed that we would get a quote for the cleanup and split the cost based on our jobs. There are 3 owners. myself, Camille, and Jackie Eeks. Josh Chandler has gotten the quotes for the cleanup and had divided them all equally. Since I only own 15% of the square footage, we have adjusted the quote to reflect that. After discussing splitting it per square footage, Josh and Jackie discussed giving their lot away to the city. I was told by Josh and Jackie that they were considering donating it as is and letting the city handle cleanup, as they told me that Sheriff Tom Malone had offered inmates to clean it up at no charge. I asked how the asbestos would be tied into that, because we have had an asbestos plan that has confirmed there is asbestos in the pile, and some portions of the pile are 16 feet deep. That has not been disturbed, so we do not know what is at the bottom of that pile. Last night, I spoke with Tom Malone. He called and said the inmates could help with cleanup on the sidewalks, but there must have been a misunderstanding that they cannot help cleaning up the lots. But after realizing that Jackie Eeks was considering options other than cleaning up his lots, I have many questions about the oversight and management of this project. Are there going to be guidelines and regulations about how to clean it up if the building owners can't agree on the plan? If Jackie Eeks donates his lots to the city, will the city assume responsibility for their portion owed for cleanup? Will they forfeit the insurance money by transferring ownership? Will there be a plan for cleanup required by the city prior to accepting the donation? I'm concerned with how the city would even pay for this portion, as the estimate for his lot is $140,000-ish. My concerns with the situation also include how long this could drag out, continuing to be an eyesore and hazard for our community. I would like to request.
Thank you. Next is Victoria Broderick.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Victoria Broderick. I'm also running for Congress in Tennessee's District 4. I want to bring up the financial implications for our small city and what this does to tax revenue, as well as the fact that we know that this negatively affects the business owners and what we are going to do. So I do think that we should be answering the questions that Brittany and all the business owners are asking, as well as what this financially looks for our county, because we want to continue supporting small businesses, because small businesses are the lifeblood of the United States and Tennessee. I do hope that you all will take this into consideration, especially with the cleanup and the asbestos. We want to make sure that health implications are taken care of and making sure that people are safe here in our small county and our beautiful city. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, we have Kyle Ragsdale.
Good morning, City Council. I just have a quick few questions, and I know this isn't a Q&A, but something we would like to answer as publicly as possible. Who's going to be responsible for each portion of the cleanup? There's 3 properties, and if 2 of them donate to the city, obviously that leaves questions. Will the city assume costs tied to any property it receives? Will there be a written agreement protecting the remaining owner from being forced to pay damage of cleanup that belongs to neighboring properties, because everything was mixed and matched during the fire? And will the city attorney review this before any transfer is accepted? Downtown matters to us all, but fairness matters too. My worry is that good property owner will stay and try to do the right thing, could end up being punished financially because others walk away. I'm asking the city to handle this transparently, legally, and fairly before the decisions are made. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our portion of public comments this morning. So we will move to the board. You have been provided the minutes for the April 9th, 26th work session. Are there any corrections to these minutes? Seeing none, these minutes will stand approved as presented. We now move into our department reports. First up, we have Director Jack Williams with Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll get right into it. First thing is a paving update. I discussed this the other night a little bit. We are set up with Lincoln Paving to get some of Washington Street done. That's where we're going to spend our money. We had the plan to do Clay, a portion of Kiwanis and Elmwood Circle. But after I met with Brett Dye, which FP's really good to work with us on what to do and what not to do. So those streets still need some work. So we're going to get away from there. We're going to address Washington because they are finished with it. And he did promise us Once we do it, they'll stay off of it, and so that's our plan. We'll go as far as we can on that one. We also did talk with TDOT, and if we go as far as where we cross Maine, which is a state where he can go ahead and cross it as well. So I know if you know that intersection is pretty rough, so once he goes across, we can blend it, and they won't have a problem with us cutting as far as the state, so we'll go as far as we can with that, and whatever don't encumber the money, it'll encumber, and we'll move it over to what we don't use, move to next year's paving budget money, so we're gonna do all we can. Our hands are kind of tied right now because there's still a lot of work to do on the streets that are in dire need, but we will get them as they become ready once we. But the thing is, right now, we just want to take advantage of Lincoln Paving while we can get them right now, because they'll move on through the summer to their state work and things like that. So try to take advantage of them and get them while we can. I've got the stripers going to come in and give us a quote and look at striping as soon as they're done, because I feel like Washington definitely needs a center line stripe. So we'll try to get that done quick, right behind the pot as we can.
Were you able to determine how far down Washington we would get with what money was allocated?
He hasn't, Joseph. I tried to call him again this morning. I know he's been busy on some stuff, but he's working on the measurements of it, and I don't know. I think what we have, we should get pretty good ways on it. We should, at the rate that he's, calculating by the rate that we were charged on the other one.
So we think we're gonna expend it all, no carryovers, or?
I think so.
Okay.
We were around 260 or so thousand, what we have left in our paving budget. We're going to, we don't want to spend it all, because we want to save some for just in cases, because, as they move along, we've had some minor issues underneath our street, so we don't want to leave a little bit there. But, and like I said, if what we don't use, Natalia has confirmed that we'll carry it over to next year, so. Okay, questions on that? All right, truck update. We're supposed to get our ton truck that you guys let us have, it's supposed to be here this week. And the garbage truck is delivery this month. Promised. So we'll have our fingers crossed on that one. But that's where we're at on those. And then as far as we're continuing our work to clean out these ditches, it's slow. Manpower we have a couple guys out on medical leave, so we're getting them as we can, weather allows, but we are working our way through. It's a slow process, some of the ditches that we're trying to clean out, so we're getting there slowly. And that's as far as an update over here on where the burn, the sidewalk is still, we can't allow traffic, won't be able to, so we'll keep it barricaded. It's going to be a while, and then there is a meeting set next week with the building owners, property owners, 14th, and excuse me, I have Randall Harrison with TDEC. He's our asbestos guru. He's going to come for that meeting and share some of his thoughts. So I think that'll be beneficial for everyone. So, and that's all I have. Unless you guys have questions.
Any questions?
You mentioned, I think maybe in committees, about gravel trucks being down. Are those back up?
Yes.
Okay. All of them are.
Yeah, we had them back up. We had one day, we had them both together for the first time in 2 weeks, and a limb slipped through and busted their windshield, so they're putting in the windshield this morning, so it'll be back in action. That has put us behind, and so if you get calls, we're catching it back up. The brush has been heavy, and we've been running mainly with one truck, and then when it goes down, the other one goes. So, but we're jiggling and juggling. But as of this morning, when the windshield's in, we'll have them both running.
Okay, and then on, what's the current city portion of what happened during the fire? Did we ever find out if insurance will pay for the sidewalk that was damaged?
No, it will not.
They will not.
Yeah, I think you've checked
I checked
with Mike.
yesterday. We had a conversation yesterday, and that's something that you have to pay premiums on, and get that is not included in the infrastructure. Just like water, sewer that's going in; those are things that are not insured. So.
And the thing on that sidewalk, I did have some contractor look at it, Tommy West with Curvers, and the problem that we have is the sidewalk. Our sidewalk was the form that was holding our sidewalk up was actually the buildings. Well, now the buildings are gone. underneath our sidewalk has been compromised, so more than likely what's gonna end up having to happen, all that's gotta come out to the curb, put some type of retaining wall, something that we can put our sidewalk onto or fill that, so, that's tough, but that's where we're at. So, questions on
Any other question? Okay, thank you.
that? Okay,
Sorry, when will we know the cost of that?
cost, I haven't put any numbers yet, Joseph, but I can begin to work on that if,
We had a big meeting yesterday. It's a lot going on. I mean, trust me, we probably, how long we spent in there yesterday? We spent a long time. It's a lot.
and the thing I would recommend on the sidewalk that's there now is we don't do anything because as whatever's gonna happen in the pit, we can remove things, equipment in and out, filling it back, filling it, building, footing, whatever. You know, there's no need in repairing. I think our sidewalk will work for excess, but once all that's done, then we begin to address, you know, that part.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, there's no need in doing anything to it right now. It's just the fact that it's, like I said, it's been compromised underneath, so our hope was to clean it off enough to get the barricades moved back to the property lines and actually have foot traffic, but that's not gonna happen. So it's gonna be, as you see, it'll be barricaded as you see it for the duration of until whatever, so,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Next up, we have Chief Jennings, Police Department.
Morning, Mayor and Board.
Morning.
First up, I have the First United Methodist Church Vacation Bible School permit that we received, and they would be blocking Edison Street, the alley there, for that school, and we have approved it.
Okay, you have this permit in your package. Do y'all have any questions about this? This is an annual event that they do, and,
Yes,
oh, okay.
Do we have to station cops at the end, or can we just do barricades?
we're barricading it.
So this is just for information. We do not have to vote on this because it doesn't include overtime.
I think we've been, do we?
I think it is a permit request, so I think it's probably appropriate to vote for it.
We normally vote on this one.
Okay, because I thought we did not vote on it, if it required monies, it doesn't matter, I mean, we can,
This is a formality, I say, just do it to be
We always approve. Yeah, we always vote on it. Just-
okay. All right, so we'll move this forward for vote, Chief.
All right, police department update, everything's going fine, we're still fully staffed. We have one officer that's in the training academy, she will graduate next month, the 19th of June. And then we'll be fully staffed on the road, where they'll be by themselves. Everything else is going fine. As police department update, I did receive another permit request, and I spoke with my committee and was given permission to bring it up today. It was turned in late, but it's being put on by the chamber and in conjunction with the Parks and Recreation Department, and it's music in the park. It was turned in a little late, but the first event is May the 28th. And that does not require any extra police or anything like that. So we went through it and approved it and would like to request it. It be passed on to next week.
I know that's already advertising on the radio too, so I'd hate to stop that.
And this is for the entire summer series,
Yeah, that's-
right?
Yes, it's for the entire summer series. The first date is May 28th,
Right.
and then June 25th, and then July 27th.
Okay, we'll move that on to Tuesday. Everyone's okay?
All right, that's all I have for the police department. If no questions, we'll go into animal control. For animal control, up to this today, we have, the city answered 14 calls and 28 calls were answered in the county. 10 animals were brought in from the city, 27 brought in from the county. There was a total of 16 adoptions. One animal euthanized due to sickness. 12 animals were reclaimed. There was 34 transferred to Horse Plus shelter. And so as of now, we have a total of, we're at 50 in the animal shelter as of today. Our TNR program that we started with the cats, there were 12 total spades, 11 by Miss Gill and 1 by Miss Key, that we've taken care of to date. And everything, we're in the process of hiring another employee for the animal shelter, so that's in the process. I think they made the decision, just got to do the notification. But
Okay,
everything's going good.
thank you. Any questions for Chief? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Chief Bergman, Fire Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First up on the agenda is the engagement letter to Barry Bass and Sims. This is to secure the bond for the fire truck. I also invited Mr. Vance Hamilton from the USDA. Maybe he can go through and I know we had some questions on the actual interest rate. We had some questions on the terms and all that good stuff, so I invited him to come to ask any or answer any questions y'all might have on that side.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Vance with USDA, and we're the agency that's providing the financing for the fire truck that y'all have ordered. And I think it's being built, and Davey says it'll be delivered in maybe fiscal year 28, that they're building it. And I think Bashberry and Sims is the bond counsel that will work with the city to issue the general obligation bond that will secure the note, and there's an engagement letter that they have provided that they would like you to sign if you're agreeable, and they will begin drafting the resolutions and things that will be passed by the city council to do the bond issue that will secure the note. So that Bashberry and Sims does a lot of work with our agency, and they're very knowledgeable about the Tennessee state laws and the process of issuing the bond and secure the debt. So I came this morning just to explain that and answer any questions you might have about how that process might work, and or any other questions you may have about the fire truck related to the financing and how that process will work.
Any chance it can go back to 20 years instead of 15, where it started at first?
Unfortunately, no. I think 15 years is going to be that's what it'll have to be, unfortunately. I think there was some confusion on my end at first. Originally, I thought we could do a 20-year term, but I was mistaken on that, so it's a 15-year term. The interest rate is 3.5%, which is quite a bit lower than what the current rate is now. And if when we get down to the closing of a loan, if the interest rates are lower at that time, if they're lower than 3.5%, you will get the benefit of the lower rate. So 3.5% is the most it could be, but it could be less depending on what the rates are when it's actually time to advance funds and you all get the truck delivered. But it'll be on a 15-year term, and so it's locked in. But 3.5% is the most the rate can be, and hopefully by then it'll go down.
I do see in this agreement that it's a $12,000 fee.
That's correct. And we put that, we actually budgeted for $20,000 for legal expense in the budget. So you shouldn't be out of pocket any of that. We included those fees because I knew there would be some cost to close the loan. So the attorney at Bashberry and Sims, Miss Alex Samber, is her name, and she's very helpful. She does a lot of municipal lending. They work with lots of municipalities across the state, and she will be very helpful in providing you the resolutions that will be passed by the city council when it's time to do that. But she's very helpful, and she will be glad to explain any of that and work closely with your local attorney to make sure all that is done properly. And she'll file paperwork with the state comptroller also when it actually comes time to close the loan, because the state comptroller has to be notified when you take on new debt. But they are but we budgeted $20,000 for that. And if this thing comes under budget a little bit, we'll just cancel out any loan money that we do not need. So you're not gonna, it's easier to do that if we have a little bit of money left over. The final closing will just reduce the loan amount, whatever it comes to, and we'll just de-obligate that portion you don't need. So we put $20,000 in the budget for legal, and it doesn't appear we're gonna use all that, so you shouldn't be out of pocket anything.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
So the original thing, we brought this in here for pretty much permission for the mayor to sign this, if y'all agree upon that. I'm asking to move that to Tuesday night.
Okay, Judge, you need that?
Next on the agenda is the oath of office of our 3 new firefighters. They're out of the academy and they're actually on shift working. They're doing very well, so I asked the board that we officially have them do their oath of office.
You want to do that on Tuesday also?
Yes,
too?
ma'am.
Okay, so we'll have that also.
How's your firefighter that was injured in the,
He is projected to come back next week. So he's healed up very nice. He has been doing his therapy, and he's ready to come back. He's actually ready to come back months ago, but I told him to take it slow. We need him 110, not 95. So he's ready. So hopefully, if he gets bad news, it's gonna be heartbreaking to him. But I told him we want him healed. So, but he's good spirits.
good deal?
Next up line is the department update, and we have had a rough couple weeks at the fire department. Start off, we have 2 fire engines that are down right now. One of them is in the shop at Velocity, was taken by Brindley Mountain. It's engine 2. It is actually a backup engine. But the reason why they were in the backup engine is because engine 1 is down as well. So engine 2 completely shut down on the side of going down the road, no power. All it would do is just turn over and would not start. So we called Brindley Mountain, they come down, we had to get it towed to Stovall's. They figured out it was a computer issue. It was not talking to the engine to tell it when to fire, when not to fire. So they had to pull the computer out and go down to Velocity, because Velocity has mechanics that have high clearance with Detroit to rewrite computers, reprogram computers and stuff like that. They finally got the computer to acknowledge each other, and they got the truck to start. However, the rear throttle would not work when you're on the pump panel pumping water, and the high idle would not work. So our lead mechanic on the project said, I would like to take it down to Velocity so their technicians can hook directly to the truck to start communicating with it. It's still down there right now. I'm not too sure what that cost is going to be to repair. Engine 1 is our main issue. That is our lead engine for Station 1. It had a radiator leak earlier in the week. Myself and Assistant Chief Gentry went down to Huntsville to find the parts to get it back in service. We were able to find the radiator hose, but we were unaware that that was not the main reason. So the reason why the radiator hose busted in the first place from what I'm told by our lead mechanics, is that the crankcase is building pressure inside the engine. So it is pushing our coolant and building pressure, and it has blown out our main seals. And it has also created every place that could leak oil, as far as valve covers, turbo seals, our main seals, or anything that's leaking oil. He said that is a bad sign of this engine's gonna have to be overhauled. So they are working on pricing on what that's gonna cost the city to repair that. He's also given us multiple options of where we go from there. I've asked him, okay, what can we do as a city to prevent that next time, because we're on a pretty aggressive path right now on services. He said the only thing that he could think of is if we just make them 6 months instead of yearly on our services. We'd do like a half service and then a full service. And I said, well, if that's the case, then I think we need to do that. And if we have to do it more, we just need to protect that, because it is a L9 engine on a Detroit, or Cummins, excuse me. I've tried to do research on it because the mechanic mentioned that this has been a known problem for him, but I could not validate that to the world. So I just think he's just seen that problem, and I value his opinion because we have a great working relationship with that mechanic. So I feel like whatever option comes there, we're gonna put it on the table for y'all to look at, and we're gonna review it and say, hey, here's what we think's the best option, and then y'all have it, but it's it's bad. I mean, it's well north over 40,000. He said that's a starting point, but it could be well over that. So I'm waiting on those prices to come back to me, and hopefully we'll get engine 2 back at least. I do want to mention that Brindley Mountain said, you know, since we have contracts with Brindley Mountain, he said, because my biggest concern is I have 2 fire trucks right now. If something happens to one of those, I'm in deep trouble. He said, don't worry, he took our specs of the city, he's got with his team at Brindley Mountain, he has a loaner truck sitting there, he said, if something happens, you call me, we bring it to you. I said, oh boy, what's that gonna cost the city? He said, nothing. He said, you know, we'll get you covered until you get your engines back. So that's a blessing on, you know, for that company to do that.
Do you have to take it, does the truck have to drive to Brindley Mountain
It has
to
to be.
get serviced?
No, they
They'll
come.
service here?
They come to us. The downside is engine 1 will have to be towed wherever it goes. The mechanic that I talked to, his name is Gabe, he says that his opinion and his advice to us is we take the truck to Velocity. That is a partner, they're not in business together, but Brindley takes business to Velocity if something that they can't handle or they get overwhelmed at the shop. His opinion is we need to take it to Velocity for the time frame. He said, plus it's about 25 miles closer than Brindley. So when you're talking about a heavy-duty wrecker towing a fire truck, the cost would be a whole lot cheaper to get it to Velocity. So we're just waiting on their team to put together the end results of how much it's going to cost us to get our fire truck back. And as soon as that comes available, I'll pass it along to y'all as well. Any more questions on my fire apparatuses? No. Well, the ladder, good news on it, it did pass inspection with a few defects. Those defects are already mitigated and fixed, and we were issued our certification today. Matter of fact, this morning I opened it in the email. So that's a good sign. The only 2 defects that it had was a cracked ladder slide, which is a known part. It's a Teflon pad on the ladder. Just the weather dries those out and they crack. So it's almost one of those things that they'll find every time they inspect the ladder. The other was the communication from the tip of the ladder. We had that working. It stopped working at the square fire, and of course we had the inspection 2 months later or 3 months later. So they got it back working as well. The mechanic said it really needed to be replaced, but he says the cost of the repair, he feels very confident if it goes out again, he can repair it again. He said, I don't think we need to replace it. He said, we'll just keep rewiring it until the life of that engine's expired. Next thing is the update. We still have, we're starting to get our injured employees back or medical. One of them returned to work this week. He had some gallbladder surgery. He's back at work. The next one would be the one that was injured at the fire, hopefully next week. And then May 17th, our third one will come back and we'll be fully staffed back. And that is my report unless you have any questions.
How was the first event over at the fairgrounds?
It went very smooth. It opened our eyes up a little bit to adjust staffing for the fair events, but it went very smooth. It did. We already had that billed out to recruit the funds for that. That bill was sent out yesterday, and me and Candace up at the front office have come up with a program to make sure the firemen get paid just off of that events. More questions? Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks. And moving down the line, we have Director Browning from Parks and Recs.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor. Board. I'll get right into it. Our HVAC bid came back. We had 2 numbers. The $33,200 was the bid. That's for a 1-year parts and labor warranty. The other option is $36,486. That is for a 5-year parts. And just presenting that to you, see which way you wanted to go with that. It's a difference of $3,286.
I think out of finance, we went with the longer.
It'd be like the 5-year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Debbie, we'll move that on to Tuesday, please.
Second, our MOU with the Tennessee Youth Employment Program. As of 3:30 yesterday, we had 15 out of 16 lifeguards already signed up for that. They were very gracious, and they came to the rec center and was able to set up shop, and our kids showed out. They showed up. So we're very fortunate to have that going forward.
So this is a program through South Central Human Resource Agency as to where they can pay up to $3,500 toward the salary of the youth. And then after the $3,500, if there's any remaining funds in that grant, then they can sign up for a second round. I think is my understanding. There is a little break in between the fiscal year from June 30th to the next week to everything gets started back in the new year. We will go ahead and cover that and then be reimbursed by the grant. Is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am. Actually, it's June 20th.
Okay.
When that goes into effect, and it gives a 10-day window, and then it'll begin.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
But this really helps Parks and Rec's budget because the youth are able to be paid out of that, so that saves
Absolutely.
money.
Very
It's a great
thankful.
program.
Very thankful for that. Yes, ma'am.
We'll move that on to Tuesday to approve, please.
Third is our TWRA Clean Stream Grant. Alderman Faulkner brought that up, and we were able to get research on that pretty quick, and we wanted to present it now so we can start that process. The deadline is June 30th, so the sooner we can get that applied for, we'll be able to set that up and possibly have a community event to clean ponds and streams. So I ask permission to apply for that.
Okay, this is permission to apply. Is it $1,000 total project?
It's 5,000 total. Our part would be 1,000.
Okay. So it's an 80-20.
It's no local matching funds is what
Yeah,
it
no,
says.
there's 5 awards.
Five.
One award would be 1,000. We would potentially
Okay.
get $1,000.
Right.
Okay. Okay, and we'll move that on to Tuesday, if everyone's okay with that.
All right, as far as our report, we've been entertaining the idea of adding on to the concession stand down at the lower fields at the softball. We've tried to work it out to where we could complete this task. Fortunately, the Lions Club has worked diligently to try to get this taken care of for us. So we've kind of transitioned, and we're kind of in the middle of transition of adding upstairs to that area. This is a project that probably won't be started again until another 6 months or so at the earliest. So just wanted to give you an update on where we were with that. Bingo, we had a great turnout for bingo. Miss Christy Gentry and Miss Jill were our callers. We're always accepting. We have a waiting list, so if you really want to call, you better get in quick. So anyone interested in bingo calling, please let us know. But we have a great turnout. Wonderful group of folks that come out once a month on the first Monday of the month and have a great time. So I appreciate those ladies helping us out. Our Champions League will be playing this Saturday, May the 9th at 11 o'clock. This is our first ever game for our Champions League. We have a lot of community excitement about this, a lot of sponsors, a lot of folks who want to see this. It's supposed to be pretty. So if you have a chance, about 11 o'clock Saturday morning, our Champions League team will be playing. And I do want to thank Coach Billy Jack Netherland for heading this coaching spot up. So it'll be at the baseball fields there beside the pool at the Kiwanis Complex. So come on out and support those folks. And June 6th is our junior fishing rodeo at Stonebridge Park. It's an annual event, great turnout. We're going to have the best hot dogs this side of Mississippi, according to the fire department. So I appreciate them for doing our grilling for us. Spring sports are going great. We wrap up volleyball program this weekend. Baseball's about 2/3 through, and softball just kicked off. So we're rolling. So any questions?
Great. Any questions for Parks and Rec? Thank you. You're doing
Thank
a
you.
great job. Appreciate it. Kevin, you're too old to apply for the junior fishing rodeo, okay? No?
It meets the height requirement. I'm just hoping I don't need to run hot dogs.
Okay, we'll move on then to planning and codes, Director Gentry.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Board. The only item that I have to present this month is the request to apply for the 2026 home grant through Resolution R 2026-13. This is a program and a grant that we try to apply for each year. We've not received funds since 2021. But last year, they gave a lot of the funds to the flood victims in those areas. So I attended a home grant webinar on April the 23rd. We are seeking to apply for the max amount we're allowed, which is $750,000. It is a no-match grant using federal funds. The application is due June 11th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Tia Lockridge will be helping us as our representative on the application again this year. I've already been in contact with her and provided her the current copy of our audit. So the next thing that she needs is this resolution for our intent to apply. They're supposed to notify communities on or around August the 7th if we will receive funds. It is not all or nothing. They could decide to grant us $500,000 or $250,000. So, but we are applying for $750,000. And then the contracts would go into effect and the funds would become available October the 1st. And we have until September the 30th of 2029 to use all of those funds. If we are awarded, then we will do a public notice. We have a meeting with people who would like to apply for potential homeowners. And Tia would come and do a presentation and answer any questions. We would get word out to local churches and through Chamber and Main Street through their newsletters to make sure people are aware if we do receive those funds. But right now, we just need to do the resolution for the intent to apply.
Okay, it's okay with the board. We'll move it to Tuesday night for approval.
Okay. I just have a couple of other announcements from Planning and Codes. We've got a few meetings coming up. The Board of Zoning Appeals has a meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the auditorium. The property owner is seeking to build a duplex on a corner lot at Edison Street West and Walnut Avenue, and also seeking variances on setbacks for that lot as well. So it'll be two separate variance requests, one to have the duplex because the minimum lot size is smaller than what is required for that or allowed for that, and then a variance on the setbacks. And that meeting is again at 9 a.m. in the auditorium tomorrow. The Planning Commission has a work session this afternoon from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. We're continuing to work on updating the C1 zoning district and hope to get that section completed or near completion after our meeting today. And then we're still working on doing the 2024 code update for all of our building codes and fire codes. The plan is still to call for the public hearing through our June meeting cycle and then vote on those ordinances in the July meeting. And that's my report.
Any questions? Planning and Codes?
Quick question, I should have asked this in committee. But on the duplex, so say when it's built, does a reappraisal for property tax happen then, or do we have to wait for a reappraisal year to get that back on the books?
I think they reappraise once there's a new.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Completed.
it'll update, we don't have to wait for a reappraisal. Okay.
I think that's right. It seems just seeing it in practice, that
Yeah.
seems to be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have IT, Jonathan Maldonado.
Morning, everyone. I'm going to start my update off by mentioning that I took care of the daily needs regarding workstations, printers, and monitors for the city. Under that, there was an outage I wanted to update you guys on in animal control where they had no internet due to a bad firewall. I was able to get her temporarily back on within 2 hours with an old router we had at the municipal building. Thankfully, that afternoon, C-Spire came by and replaced her old firewall with a new one that made them fully operational and also fixed a pre-existing issue she had with her connectivity. So I think she ended up being better than she was before the outage. Good news regarding ADA compliance for our website. The general deadline has been extended to April 26, 2027. However, because our population is under 50,000, our specific deadline is now April 26th, 2028. I have provided a link that you can click on your iPads for if you guys want any more information on the ADA compliance for our website. Next on the update is work with Rec Desk has been finalized for the pool area. They are now fully set up for card transactions this summer when we get to the pool season. That is 2 card readers, 1 for admissions and 1 for concessions, and they'll use the point of sale system that's on the iPads to track cash and card transactions. Last on the update, I wanted to let you guys know that I attended an IT directors roundtable for local municipalities. I met some IT directors in the area that had amazing recommendations for me and the city. This is my first meeting with them all, and I think they'll be an exceptional resource for the city and a great way to keep us connected to other local municipalities. By collaborating with them, I hope to get us to best practices when it comes to our technology and how secure we are. And they'll be able to improve us and give us suggestions on what to improve for our infrastructure. That is my update. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move to finance, and presenting this morning is going to be Debbie Williams. Our finance director was sick and had to go home, so Debbie, it's yours.
So first up on the agenda is the call for the public hearing, and we will need to vote on having a public hearing, and then at our board meeting in June is where we will have a public hearing concerning our new budget. And then at the regular meeting is when we will vote on approving that budget. So we do need to move that to.
Okay, we'll move that on to Tuesday.
Next is a budget amendment number 12, and this is just moving some money around within animal control from janitorial supplies and medical supplies. So it's just an internal budget revision.
That's been provided for you there on your iPad, so I've had a chance to look at that. We'll need to move that on to Tuesday night. Everyone's okay?
Okay, next is the Fayetteville City School budget amendment number 3, and this is just their general fund, and I believe they are just moving, from line items and stuff, not really increasing anything, just moving money around.
You've also been provided a copy of that amendment for your reading pleasure, so if you have no questions, we'll move that on to Tuesday night.
The 4th item is the Fayetteville City School capital budget amendment number 1. Any questions on that?
Questions, we'll move that to Tuesday night.
All right, next is Natalia's report. So for the local option sales tax received in April of 2026 was $307,578, and this was an increase of 8.6% from this time last year. The state share sales tax received in April was $69,620, which is a 5.6% increase from this time last year. And the occupancy tax received was $9,283, which was actually a decrease of 32%.
Any questions on the report from finance? Okay. All right, that concludes our finance department. We're moving on to administration. Kevin Owens.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor and Board. The first item we do have an offer about the fire property owned by Josh, who is here today, I think Brittany had referred to it earlier today. Right now, it's an intent, do we want to pursue as we looked at accepting donation from Burlington Property. Josh is here today, but he has some precise detailed date lines that need to be met if we are interested in pursuing. He has to be able to give insurance company. So we wanted to see whether the board wanted to at least keep that open as far as accepting the offer.
I have questions, but
Well, I will start off with, this subject has taken on a lot of different faces. A lot of things have happened since the fire in March. I think at the very beginning, everybody was wanting to build back. They wanted to build back bigger, stronger. As insurance came in and looked at things, reality kind of hit. When the insurance was said and done, I think people had to reflect back on where they stood financially on their buildings or on their businesses and things like that. As a part of economic development, the city is often contacted about opportunities. Opportunities with different businesses, opportunities with properties, things for us to look at if we want to be progressive and move forward or grow. Sometimes, you have to take a look at those opportunities. You have to have conversations. This conversation has changed many, many times. When I was approached about it, I went to Kevin. Kevin and I had a discussion. You have to find facts. You have to gather information. There was nothing to bring to the board until this time, because we were just finding out the facts. What is the offer? What is the discussion? It involved other business owners, not just on their property, but because it all became one instance with a ball of debris. There were many conversations of, yes, it's kind of like everybody had an opinion on, the debris is not all asbestos. The debris is part asbestos. Some people say, no, it's all because it's combined. So until we get an expert in here next week on March the 14th, the state environmentalist to come in here and tell us exactly what has to be done to dispose of the debris. So there's still a lot of questions. There's been a lot of rumors. There's been rumors galore, and everybody's become an expert on fire debris, on asbestos. But we are going to listen to what the expert tells us and what the state of Tennessee tells us we have to do. The sheriff has been working with us since the night of the fire. He brought his men here. They worked. They carried hoses for the fire department. They are part of us, and we work together very well. At no point do I ever think that the sheriff would endanger any of his men, his inmates, his friends, or anybody. So he has offered to help us. So until we get the final say-so from the state of Tennessee, I think a lot of this is rumors, because we don't know. We don't know for sure what we have to do. But yes, this has been offered to the city. I think it's a great opportunity for us. What we will do, I don't know. This is for the board to decide, not me, not Kevin, not Mr. Hill. I've had several conversations with Mr. Hill about this. But this is a board decision. But we've got to be open-minded, and I think we need to have these discussions, probably several discussions, on how we move forward with this. So that's what my involvement in this situation has been.
so it says proposal. Is there an actual proposal on the table, or is it just?
No, and I think what we're looking at now as far as I know, is that we're looking to see whether we wanted to explore his offer. Right now, we've been working on how do we deal with all of the landowners together. I think Brittany mentioned that we do have a May 14th meeting that we have been planning long before the offer. Tomorrow makes 90 days, so we kind of pinpoint what we're gonna do. So prior to this time, we've been working on a meeting that's still set for May 14th, that we plan to include all of the landowners in the plan we wanted to do.
So it's more of a discussion on intent, if we would even be interested in having a conversation.
Right.
Right, because this landowner that has offered this to the city, they need to know how to proceed too. I don't think that they were ever gonna vacate it on the city and dump it on the city's shoulders. It's all of our problem. It's the problem for our city. We wanna get our city cleaned up as quickly as we can. We wanna get our sidewalk opened back up and shored back up so that it is safe, but it's a process. Like Jack said, we can't tear up the sidewalk now and replace it until we get the debris removed. And I think that's our number one thing right now, is getting debris removed.
I'm okay having the discussion about acquiring it. I think there are some, what I would like to see is, we don't have the money to go and remediate. The only way that I think I would be in support of that would be, is if it was cleaned up and they want to donate the land to us. I think as another asset for the city, it's something else that we could look at and selling in the future, which would be increased revenue. So it seems like under those circumstances, it would be a win. But depending on how the conversations would go.
And I agree with you. I do believe, however, and that's controlling your own destiny when it comes to that, being able to, if we have the ability to prevent it from becoming another municipal style building or anything like that, I don't want to see the square, just a bunch of lawyers' offices and municipal buildings. It needs to be what it was in a retail and services type business. So that gives us the ability to at least control that destiny somewhat. Now, again, I do believe 100% that there's a lot of conversations and about cleanup and things like that have to take place, but we need to be willing to have those conversations and not just shun it.
I worry about taking something off the tax rolls. If we're looking to sell it, I would be okay with it being donated, but I do not want it to be a green space where
No,
we're
absolutely
taking
not.
something off of it.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
I don't think we need a big open block in the middle of the square. I think we need the retail space, we need the income from the sales tax, we need the property tax. That's something that we need, and I think the community's in agreement that we need to, something needs to be built back. We can't just keep it a lot.
Yeah.
It needs to be built back.
Well, it goes with with some of the original planning that was done in that planning document that was worked up many years ago.
Downtown master plan.
The downtown master plan of kind of a live, work, type environment, which seems to be very popular these days.
Yeah, I would like to see it be something vibrant for the city, whether it's a new building, that's gonna go back on the tax roll. Maybe generate retail. It can be used for a lot of things, but I think it's a good opportunity for the city to be involved in this. And then that way, we can continue having the conversations. And that's, a lot of times in economic development for cities, it starts out with coffee at a restaurant. Hey, what about this? Or hey, what about that? And, if you keep the dialogue open, keep the conversations moving and talking, I think, you can get to a lot of places. So I'm not for having it as a park either.
So
Any other?
is there any vote or action that needs to be moved forward on Tuesday?
I guess the most important thing is just to know what the board interest in even pursuing continuing discussions, how we want to do it. It's something a little bit new to the board, but it's kind of how we want to proceed or kind of directions. As you mentioned, Alderman, it's several conversations that need to be happening, but we also need to know how to plan, especially when we go into next week to meet with the property owners.
Yeah, I think and I don't mean to speak for the board, but I think we would all probably agree that it would need to be cleaned up correctly
Yeah.
before we would even discuss anything beyond initial discussions.
And even that, Jack mentioned in his report, we do have TDAC that's planned to be a part of that. So we will have some even further directions about how the cleanup should be taking place.
Okay, so do you want to just, we can continue that and see how the 14th comes out?
We can, yeah, we can. I mean, it's gonna be several discussions coming before the board on this one. I mean, we don't know how this one takes place.
Right.
Even in discussions, I mean, it hits multiple departments. Matter of fact, we technically in that room, we're hitting probably 3 or 4 departments. So we need to also know how do we proceed with information, with committees, or all, I guess, board general.
Mhm.
What committee will you bring this back to?
It depends. I mean, it depends. You have, I mean, Jack as well as Jill are both very big parts of it. Finance is gonna be a big part of it. Maybe just work session in general, I don't know. Cause, it's not just a one department thing.
Could I recommend that we establish a separate committee? Because this is a major event outside of what is normal, and it's going to require representation from just about every committee that exists. So I would recommend that we set up a temporary committee and
Ad hoc.
to walk us through, walk us through this.
Ad hoc, that's perfect, yes. I think that's a good idea.
Some of my words escaped me today.
I
I
understand.
didn't get downtown.
I understand.
Is that something that you would have set up?
Yeah, we probably, if we're gonna do that, we probably need to vote. I mean, would y'all be comfortable going ahead Tuesday and voting to establish an ad hoc committee?
Yeah, I'd be willing to move that forward. Probably determine what that representation looks like and bring that forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think somebody actively working it to make sure it's not getting lost in the ether somewhere, I think is a good idea.
Okay, we'll move that forward to Tuesday night.
Which is ad hoc
Ad hoc. Not vote, we are not voting on the properties. It's just voting to continue and set up a committee to pursue looking into things and finding out more about this. Okay, Kevin, I think you have an update there.
Okay, and first of all, I do want to thank the board as well for all of your work in the month of April with developing the budget. It was a tremendous task, and we had to spend many nights, but I do want to thank you all for all of that, for all of your help. We had a fleet management meeting, and we will continue with fleet management. Our goals are to try to get some type of plan together to the board by September. If you recall, in our strategic planning, we asked for about 9 months to really just develop a plan. We have not had a plan in many years. I cannot even go back through records to say that we have had a plan. I'm sure that one exists, but Jack is working very hard, and we have drafted Jonathan to help us look at our current IT system to see how much they can be used to develop a feasible fleet management plan. We just talked about the Square Aftermath. Tomorrow makes 90 days. I do want to assure the public as well as the board that staff is working every available time that we can on this. I mean, hours are being spent on the weekends trying to bring things together. We do have a meeting that Jill has set up with the help of Jack that will take place next week. And we got several subjects we do want to cover with the property owners then. We are beginning to meet together as a property real estate management. As we have heard from the board, there's a lot of real estate and property needs that we're trying to examine. We're learning a lot as we develop this, but we have had meetings that include our attorney, public works, finance, administration, and planning. So we're currently doing that. We probably have another big major meeting before we meet again in the June meeting cycle. We're also working on economic development. We're finding a lot of needs that are beginning to come through our office. We do not have a progressive economic development plan. We're trying to change that. One of the things I mentioned during the budget session, we've been working with Hampton, and thankfully, they have been very cooperative with giving us reports on what's going on. We did receive at 7:15 last night a little glimmer of hope that they'll be able to have things back online based on another property in another community. So we're continuing to work with them, and they've been very gracious with giving us a call and ahead of schedule of some things that's going on with them. And finally, as Alderman Keenan mentioned, we had a great meeting with Brett, Jack, and I about a week and a half ago. We know we got to look at some capital stuff, but he's working very diligent with us on about paving. But we'll be moving into traffic lights probably 6 months to 9 months to see what we're really gonna have to do with that. And just a couple of days just for the board, we've been working, of course, for the last 2.5 years with animal control and trying to develop a comprehensive plan. And despite sometimes how it looks, we have made a lot of progress. We're trying to complete some assignments before the changes with the county. Commander Andy has helped us to set up a meeting. We will be going into a meeting on Monday, probably a couple hours, to see how we look for the next couple of years. We also have a meeting on Monday with the auditor. As you remember, this is a new auditor. Natalia and I have called the auditors, and we'll set a format for Monday morning on how we want to look as far as process and things in the upcoming year, so we won't have as many challenges, hopefully, that we had this past year. And the final thing I wanted just to bring to your attention, the finance staff has given me notice that they don't think we've been being as proactive with Airbnb. So the finance staff has set up a meeting with me in the morning that we're gonna look and see how we're collecting revenues from Airbnb, and hopefully there will be some revenue that we have not been counting for that can go to us to spend. And I think that's it, unless you all have anything.
Your economic development planning meeting, is that an internal meeting
It
with you
is
and
for
staff?
now, for now.
I
So
would-
we're doing, and we're looking to kind of get some things within, and then we're going to kind of look at a broader picture on what to do about that, so.
Yeah, I would just encourage, and you mentioned about Rodney, we're very lucky, John Hatfield, which is our regional economic developer, lives here in town. Bring him in at any point. He's a super helpful resource. He would be really helpful in that instance, as well, of course, as Elaine Middleton. So.
We plan to do a comprehensive, everybody who is our economic development partners, we plan to do that.
I would warn to not double up on everybody siloed doing their own economic development. We want to make sure that we're not trying to develop our own economic development within the city offices when we can use the resources we have to bring one.
The good thing, and those who were here when I was brought in, my original job was an economic development coordinator. So I went through plenty of trainings throughout the country for a few years before I was even hired here. So I'm kind of bringing all of that stuff. So hopefully we can get a plan so we'll know how to handle things when they come through here.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if nothing else, Mr. Owens, that completes our agenda for today, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I'm gonna start taking a tally on how many good